So, you want to know the absolute worst feeling you can feel as a young man on self-improvement? The absolute worst thing you can feel isn't guilt, isn't shame. It's feeling like all of the efforts that you've made, all of the deep work you've been doing, all of the meditation sessions you've been doing have all been for nothing, and that you are still behind in life. I find the idea that all of the work you've been putting in, all of the hours of self-improvement that you've been doing, all for nothing, I find that idea to be very, very sad. Because knowing that all of the hard work you're doing is really not adding up to anything is it's so demasculating. It's so, you feel like this worse version of yourself when you feel as though the work you've been putting in isn't actually giving you any results. So today, I want to tell you why it is that you feel so behind in life. And trust me, it's not your fault. So the main culprit behind why it is that you feel so behind in life, why it is that you feel as though you aren't successful at the level that you should be, is because of social media. So let me ask you a question. When was the last time that you saw someone younger than you that was much more successful than you? Like, theoretically, right, if you're older than someone, then you should theoretically have like more levels of success than them, right? You're higher up age-wise, so in terms of success, well, that should also correlate, and so you should be higher up. But that's not the case, right? You see 15-year-olds who make $5 million a year and who go on podcasts and who talk about the Lamborghinis and the cars that they have and the houses that they've bought. And here you are on self-improvement. You've just started reading, you've just started meditating, and you wonder why you feel like a piece of shit, right? Like, you go on Instagram and you see somebody with a supercar and three women on his car, and he has $10,000 packets in his hands. Why do you think you feel so behind? Right? Like, if you're constantly comparing yourself to people whose successes are in no way relatable to yours, why do you think that you feel so behind? So, when I came up with the idea for this video, I actually wrote a quote. Like, I don't know, but it really, really stuck with me. And it's that, like, social media has developed this hyper awareness of the successes of others, and that has led to our own successes feeling insignificant, right? Like, the standard for when you should become successful and when you should become rich is so fucking high that no wonder you feel like a piece of shit. You see 10-year-olds who are like multi-millionaires, like soon in 10 years you'll have like you'll have fetuses who are just like fucking CEOs who are making billion-dollar companies in their mom's stomach. Like, that's how high the standard of success is. And like, when you're constantly seeing people who are better than you, they're younger than you, they're more attractive than you, right? You just feel so fucking bad, and you feel so behind in life, even though you might be doing so much better than like 99% of the human population. Like, the people you're comparing yourself to are the 0.0001%, but because they're like all in your fucking face, and they're 100% of the consumption you see, they're 100% of the people you see, you tell yourself, wow, you know, like, this is what success looks like. I should have been successful 10 years ago when I was 5 years old, and I'm 17 right now, you know, I should probably be running a multi-million-dollar company. Why is it that I'm not at the level they're at? You know, like, that whole thing, that whole message that comes from social media, that you aren't good enough because you aren't at the level of the people you're comparing yourself to, is something that's damaging and destroying the mental health of so many young people around the world, and it's really, really a shame to see. Now, sure, sometimes you can see Iman Gadzhi, you can see Tate with the fancy cars and the women, and you're like, yeah, you know, that's what I want my life to be like. I want to be rich, I want to be able to provide. But through social media, you've become so hyper aware of the successes of everyone but your own. And so when you see some dude mention that he reads one book a day, right, and you don't read that fast, well, it just makes all of the progress you've read by reading your books just feel insignificant, right? If you're reading like one book a week or even one book a year, and then some guy through social media is like, yeah, you know what, guys, I read one book a day, you're like, is my progress not good enough? Like, have I not been making any more progress? The thing is, I feel as though, like, through social media, you've told yourself that you should be doing more than you are. And this is quite similar to the message in my not Why You Feel So Behind, but it's a video about ego. And you tell yourself that you should be meditating more, you should be reading more, you should be making more money, more muscle, and essentially your ego is telling you that you should be doing more than you are, and you don't actually know your true capabilities. Well, I feel like this is quite similar, but in that this time it's not your ego, but it's other people, right? It's almost as though like if you're 17 and on social media, if you're 15 and on social media, you're expected to be successful, right? Because there's kids on there who are 10 and who are successful. So if you're 15 and you have a YouTube channel, why aren't you successful, huh? Right? Like, I just feel as though you constantly comparing yourself to the 0.001 percenters has made you feel like an absolute loser, and has made you just like destroy any and all progress that you've made. And like I said, when you feel as though you aren't making progress, it's the absolute worst feeling you can feel when you're on self-improvement. So I just wanted to let you know that you're probably doing better than you think you are, right? Even though sometimes you meditate for 5 minutes in the morning and then you spend the rest of your day eating junk food and playing video games, just realize that that's where you're at. That's where your level is at, right? And you can only go up from there. And so instead of being like, oh, I have to make $5,000 and I have to make $10,000 by the end of the year every single month, realize where it is that you're truly at. And don't expect yourself to be somewhere you aren't simply because you've seen other people who are at that level. And you're like, oh, I should be at that level because they're younger than me, so why not at that level? This takes time, right? It takes time. And you have to realize that. Progress isn't easy. Progress isn't just like, oh, like, don't compare yourself and you'll make a bunch of progress, right? Just the one thing, if you can do one thing from this video, is to stop using social media so much, stop using Instagram so much, right? Because that has led you to have just such a negative perception of yourself, and that has then hindered all the progress that you thought you made. Alright, this was kind of like different from the other videos, but I hope this helped you, and I cannot wait to see the progress that you make. Cheers, bro.